Welcome back to the Forge for another Rusty production. Today we're going to try and make my life a little easier by making a tool to make the rivets. So you've probably seen a whole bunch of different videos that I've done that are relating to tongs in particular. And you know, things like this, all right? One of the things that is a bit of a sticking point is making rivets for these things. So I'm not buying rivets, I'm actually making them. And they're not the worst, I guess the worst rivets in the world, but they're not great. And so what I'm gonna be doing today is trying to make life easier for myself by making a tool so that I can make those rivets a little easier. Basically, if you check this thing out, that's kind of what I'm actually looking to make, which is a steel, I guess, cylinder, and the right sized hole inside that so that I can actually put the rivets into it on top. This hole here is far too large for what I'm after. In fact, mainly I'm going to be using this sort of stock for the rivets, and that's just 6mm stock. So as you can see, that's far too large. It's just going to slip out the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use just a bit of old scrap. You see this rusty piece of steel cylinder. I'm going to measure down to the depth that I want, cut that piece off, clean it up, and then see if I can go about drilling a hole directly through the center so I can use that as a tool to make the rivets. So first things first, I'm just going to put it into the vise and then clean it up a little bit. Just get an angle grinder for that. So it doesn't need to be too perfect, just cleaning up that top part so that when I cut it out I'll be able to use it directly rather than having to give it another polish. So most of the bosses that I'm going to be making are going to be somewhere between about 6mm through to 1 centimeter. And I'm probably going to lean more towards the heavier bosses in the future tongs that I'm making. So I'm going to allow 10mm on one side, 10mm on the other, so that's 2 centimeters, and it's a 6mm stock. So ideally I want to allow 6mm sticking out so I can punch that down, and the same on the other side. So basically we're going to let 6mm stick out the top of the cylinder because we'll hammer that down to the right shape, which means that the depth of it is going to be the 2 centimeters plus the 6, so 26mm. So I'll just quickly give it a bit of a measure, and then we'll transfer that line all around, and that's what I'm ideally going to cut. I'll actually cut a little bit further than that, and we'll grind it down on the grinder just to get that nice flat edge. Just going to use a scrap of paper with a square edge so that I can create my line. Now I'll just cut below that line that I've made there as a mark. And I don't have a big angle grinder at the moment, so this is going to take a little bit of work to sort of cut all the way through, because as you can see here, it's only going to get me, it's not going to quite get me to the center, I don't think. So I'll probably have to use a hacksaw at the very end. So as most of you know, I'm a beginner at all this sort of stuff, but I have used an angle grinder enough now that I know what mistakes I could be making. And one of those is going to be cutting it on the wrong angle, so I ended up losing material. So I just got to make sure that I at least come on if not 100% flat, then at least on an angle that adds more material to it rather than takes it away. So that's what I'm going to try and do now. Turn it around so I can cut in the right direction. I'll have to try and work myself all around all these handles and stuff. Put that to there. So there's about 1 centimetre worth of material still in there, and I'm going to use the hacksaw blade to try and get that out. I really need a bigger angle grinder. This is always a pain. It's a bit hot. Put it in there, let's see. Yep, that's pretty good and fixed. There we go. Well, that worked. So there's our piece. I've cooled it down in water, but it's still holding its heat. It's really hot, but hot enough to hold. The you can see there just this ragged sort of finish here. I've got to make that flat, so I'll take it down to the across to the grinder, and I'll see what we can do about removing the rest of that material. Now, one thing I can see, there's probably a better way to do this, but I can already see the high sides on this, so I'm just going to run a texture over the top of it so that I know what areas I'm trying to remove to start, and then we'll take it one little bit at a time. Now, because this metal is going to keep getting hot, I've got myself a magnet, and hopefully this is going to work for me, just to hold on to it while I'm grinding it back so I don't burn my hands. Show you this. I've been actually doing this for a while. Obviously you haven't seen that, but I don't need it to be well, I need it to be at least millimeter perfect, but I don't need it to be micromillimeter perfect. What I'm doing though is I'm just using this pen here just to highlight some of these higher areas that I just need to reduce it on, and then basically if I get it roughly square, that's going to be enough, because I'm going to use this as the top part, and the bottom. As long as that's flat, I'll be good to go. So I'll just a few more marks in there. See that? I'll remove those and we will be just about done. Alright, so that's about square enough for me. I'm going to now cool it off because it is incredibly hot, and then I'll look to drill the hole. Okay, so here's our piece. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to punch the top of it just so I've got something for the drill bit to hang on to. That's the drill bit we're looking to use. So that's a 6.5mm drill bit, just a little bit larger than the stock we're looking for, just to give it enough clearance, because this stock really gets knocked around a bit, so you do tend to get a little bit of a wobble through it. So I just want to make sure I can actually get it inside it. Now, will I need to go up more than that? I don't really know. I'm going to try with 6.5 to start with. Ideally, that'll be spot on. And we will be trying it before the end of this video, so we'll be able to see if it works or not. Let's get the drill bit inserted and get going. Now, I was thinking about putting 2 holes in this, but I might actually just leave it, and yeah, I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to go for the one. Now, I don't really care about where it is in the center, so I'm just going to make a mark for myself that looks roundabouts right to me. I know I can do all the measuring and what have you, but that will be fine for my purposes, and I'll just get the punch and give it a bit of a whack. Shoot the camera a bit, didn't it? All right, there's our mark. Let's get drilling. No, that probably wasn't the safest thing in the world. I will secure it next time. So here's our little piece. Here's the metal that we're going to be using, or the rod, 6mm. That fits neatly through there, which is great. You can see here, like the other end of it's a bit knocked around. That just fits. So normally what I'll do is I'll maybe bevel the edge of this just so it's a little bit neater. Make sure it does get in there, but the fact that that gives me that little bit of give, which is why I wanted that extra 5 mils, is for me, I'm pretty happy with. If anyone's got a problem with that, let me know in the comments as to why that would be an issue, other than just a tiny little bit of movement. Let's fire up the forge and get this metal hot, and we can try it out. So I just got the ruler on top here, and then we've got to cut from about where the cutting tool is to make the enough of the rod that it's going to work as a rivet, right? So I'm just gonna, so it's 26 deep, and then I've got another 6 over the top of that, so it's actually 32 that I need the piece to be. So I will, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 32 is right here. So I will, it's hot now, so I'll just try and cut it. That's just going to break off now. Cool. So I'm going to heat it back up, but I'll just work it up on this just to break it off. So, cool. There you go. So you can see there, actually I'll bring it closer. So you can see there, that's about how much I want sticking out the top, and then I'm going to hammer that down to actually create the rivet head. So. I'll heat that back up, get it back into here, and we will finish it off. Alright, so we should be able to hold that alright. Now, I keep turning this round so it's even. Now the head on this isn't great, it's not the best looking rivet in the world, but I'll just knock it out and then see how it goes. I think the easiest way to do this is just to put it through the hardy hole. Give it a bit of a whack on the back. There we go. And I'll get some tongs to pull it out. There we go. Yeah, I think you can see there's the head of the rivet. Doesn't look too bad, but it's one-sided. You can see that I've got to practice a little bit as far as getting it even. I believe that has a fair bit to do with the way you turn it and where you hit it on what angles. So anyway, that's the head of the rivet. Pretty happy with that. I might try a few more, and then we'll come back and finish off the video. Actually, you can see that. Okay. The quickest way to get that out is just through the hardy hole. It's heated up, so it's a little bit warm. Just use the, which punch? One of these punches. You can see that there. There we are. Okay. Let me just focus on that. Right, so there's the rivet head. It's not great. It's a bit one-sided, but I can practice with that. And but it does the job. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. So that'll go through tongs and all sorts of other things, and we'll be able to just finish it off, I guess, when it's actually in the piece. Now, I've made plenty of rivets before, but the idea is that you can make these quick and easy, and that was quick and easy once the tool was made. So let's have a bit of a quick practice with a couple of other pieces, and then I'll come back and finish off the video. All right, it's getting late here. Here's our tool, the rivet making tool. It does work. I just need to make I probably need to give it even more material to work with, so that it actually has a wider head on the rivet. Here's an example of the rivet, of a rivet, and I've got a couple of others that I've made as well, just in practicing. And I think I am getting the hang of it. So the idea is not to spread it all out one side. You've got to turn the thing round as you go, like making sure that you give enough enough pressure to the head that it actually gets more of a circle shape at the end of the day. So rivets, these are the things going in the tools that I'm making, including the tongs. I am about to finish a set of tongs, which ideally you'll get the release of the video for next week. Until next time, comment on what you've seen here today. Like it if you thought it was pretty good. If you didn't think it was good, leave me a comment as well on how I can improve, and subscribe, because there's a hell of a lot more videos that are coming up. There's another one coming out next week, of course. And until next time, thanks so much for watching.